Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. There seems to be deadlock on a caretaker CM, appointment of caretaker CM in Punjab. We'll be talking about that. We'll be also, what will it mean for the selection of caretaker CM as the deadlock persists. Of course, it will go to the Election Commission. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the acceptance of resignations. And the fact that now the opposition PTI seems a little upset by the acceptance of these resignations. Earlier on, of course, statements were made saying that these resignations should be accepted immediately by the former Prime Minister himself. We'll be talking a little bit about this, what it means for the overall process, the political process within the National Assembly. We've also had a statement from the Speaker of the National Assembly saying that he's accepted resignations on which there was little doubt. All of that today on Perspective. What kind of a political scenario can we expect in the next week, in the next couple of weeks, as things seem to be moving very fast? All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Dr. Abid Abbasi, who's a political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have with us Barrister Humayun Sarfaraz Chattha, who is a legal expert. Thank you for being with us. And Javed Jadoon Saab, who is a senior journalist. Thank you for joining us today. Abid Saab, overall, like we were earlier talking about, it seems to be a case, we have earlier on also seen the opposition go back and forth, but this is kind of a glaringly, another glaringly obvious example of when we talk about these resignations and the fact that acceptance of them. How do you look at this overall? Because earlier on, of course, we had statements from the former Prime Minister himself, from his party members, all of them saying that they wanted these resignations to be accepted pronto. And now there seems to be a step backward. How do you look at this overall?
Thank you very much. They were not expecting, they were thinking that the present government is not in position to accept their resignations, and they will play to the galleries by maneuvering the support and sustaining the support of their followers that we have presented our resignations, but the government is not accepting. But we have seen these sort of mantras, these sort of tactics were used by PTI. They remained on a sit-in, the Dharna, very famous Dharna, 126 days in Islamabad. During that Dharna, they at that time had also put their resignations, but later on we have seen they took U-turn and they came back into the assemblies. And very ironically and so interestingly and astonishingly, they have been enjoying every person privilege of the from the public exchequer of this poor nation for years and years, but they did not perform any constitutional duty for which they have been selected by the people of Pakistan. They remain in parliament lodges. They have been enjoying the medical facilities. They have been enjoying the transportation facilities, every facility. On one side, they are saying that the nation is poor and this nation should be looked after, and the government failed to give them any relief. But unfortunately, on the other hand, they have been enjoying. But the question is one-liner. The one-liner statement is that putting the resignations in a free manner, that is actually the news. The accepting the resignation is not a big deal. Because when somebody resigns from any portfolio, that has the 90% game is over. When you people have put the resignation, then why you are asking that resignations are accepted, please?
I want to go into of course, the legal side of it. Barrister Saab, overall, isn't it a technicality when you tender a resignation, the fact that it was accepted, or the fact that, what does it mean overall as far as this is concerned? And of course, this is not a resignation, this is not an official resignation in that sense. It's not an office resignation. This is a resignation from the National Assembly, and there were, according to the Speaker of the National Assembly, he said that these are resignations on which there is little doubt when we've had these members come out and say openly that they want the resignations to be accepted. And now going backwards on it seems a little too late. What is the legal way, what is the legality of this in your opinion?
I think Speaker National Assembly was right in his constitutional duties to accept the resignations of PTI members of National Assembly, and I don't think they can raise any kind of legal objection against that. So, in legal terms, I would say Speaker has taken the right step.
Um, Granted that he's taken the right step in your opinion now, but overall, as far as I want to understand, let me come back to you. I want to go into what is the legal requirement once you tender a resignation. I mean, politicking on it is a separate, the way that politics is being played on this issue is a separate thing, and I'm sure we can all agree that at this time it's largely politics at play. But overall, the legality of it, once you tender a resignation, then acceptance of it is a mere technicality, as I understand it. Let me go to Javed Saab. Javed Saab, as far as, let's move on and talk about the politics of it at this time, whether if these resignations had been accepted perhaps 3-4 months ago. We had been earlier talking about the fact that the former Prime Minister and his people should come back to the National Assembly and take part in the overall political process. Now it seems to be, they're talking about they want to participate in a kind of fictional scenario at this time of the National Assembly caretaker setup and all of that. But do you think that it's a little late now? Do you think that the way that politics is being played on this issue at this time?
Yes, thank you very much, MAHRUKH. I think it would be pretty oversimplistic to look at the political landscape with a simplistic viewpoint that it was the right of the Speaker of the National Assembly to accept because the PTI parliamentarians tendered a resignation from the National Assembly. But the fact of the matter is they were not accepted by the Speaker. He was emphasizing that every member who tendered his resignation will have to appear personally in front of him, and he would like to satisfy himself that the resignation was tendered without any duress or pressure. Then all of a sudden, when Pakistan
But that was rejected earlier on. But I mean, that itself was rejected by the opposition. That was rejected by the former Prime Minister, his people.
I mean, MAHRUKH, the problem is this whole craziness all around as far as politics of Pakistan is concerned. At this particular juncture, at this point in time, what is important, the state of Pakistan and the country's future, which is hinging on economic instability and political instability. And without any differentiation or without any discrimination, every political player is trying to score political points, whether that be the government or the opposition. And the over 200 million people, hapless people, are just watching from the fringes, from the sidelines, what is happening at the center stage. And what is happening at the center stage is nothing more than political moves and counter moves being made by the two contesting camps. Unfortunately, Pakistan, a nuclear state and a leading country in the Muslim world, which has one of the largest armies in the world, and look at the kind of spectacle which is unfolding at the center stage. The KP Assembly dissolved, Punjab Assembly dissolved. They can't even agree on a single individual which could be appointed as the Chief Minister for Punjab. Ultimately, of course, there's a constitutional way it could go to the Election Commission of Pakistan to decide. But aren't these political parties mature enough to sit together, a few good gentlemen on both sides, and then decide what is right for the country and not what is right for them? Politics and state, they're two different things. Politics
Let
can be
me come back
played.
to you, Javed Saab, on that note. Abid Saab, I think Javed Saab raises a very important point when he says that aren't they mature enough to sit and decide on the next course of action, on who's going to be a caretaker CM. Clearly, that doesn't seem to be the case. In which direction do you think the politics will go from here?
The politics have already been so massively polarized. I have to say this, unfortunately, that was the more share of the polarization, the causes of polarization was lying on the shoulders of opposition under PM Imran Khan, because we have seen that when Imran Khan was Prime Minister, this was a constitutional requirement to sit with the opposition leader to appoint such key, sort of office bearers of many institutions, the head of many institutions. But he was very, loudly saying that I do not want to shake even hands with these goons and these criminals and these looters and plunderers. He has just taken the politics to the end, where this is not in sort of ordinary or simple kind of thing to sit together and to reach an rapprochement or reach an agreement to appoint the key post, particularly the caretaker CM of Punjab. Once we have seen, but probably I think this should have been done. This should have been taken course that resolving or dissolving the assembly of KP and Punjab should have been gone to the court. Because what was the reason why Imran Khan has dissolved those assemblies? He was using this card for a political, sort of mileage for since long, for months and months, and now is dissolved. Is it a joke that the assemblies should be dissolved without any reason? What has happened in Punjab? What the crisis was there? Why the assemblies were dissolved? The people of Pakistan voted for 5 years. The constitutional term of the state, of the government is 5 years. Why the assemblies were dissolved? Just to get the political mileage, just to create a chaos, because he was thinking that this is the right time, that if we could put pressure on the government, federal government and the state institutions to hold elections, and he could maneuver the better results from Punjab. But if we see the intentions, the real intentions behind the dissolving of the assembly, that intentions are political. Those were not in the favor of the people of Pakistan.
Let me go to Barrister Humayun Ji. Barrister Sahab, I think that Abid Sahab is right when he says that it's really, whether, of course, we've had this argument now and again about how, whether the courts should interfere in the political process, and the courts have, of course, largely decided to stick to their own ambit, to their own, within the purview of their own jurisdiction, so to speak. This is clearly politicking. This is clearly, when we look at what's happened in Punjab and KP, would you agree that this is, the use of one party's political clout, so to speak, political power, so to speak, to further their own political ends? Of course, if sanity had prevailed, if rationality had prevailed, then, of course, couple of months here and there shouldn't have made a difference, and the political process should have been allowed to continue. Would you agree?
MAHRUKH, my view is that all the political parties should adhere to constitutional norms. And by constitutional norms, I mean parliamentary practices which are recognized in the whole world, or at least in the West, which we are following as far as democracy is concerned. So I think parliamentary norms should be adopted by all the political parties. I think it is all about the understanding of the democracy. That is my view. How the political parties or the public of Pakistan, or generally speaking, the politicians how they understand democracy. Democracy
but
is
we are not
basically
talking about, this is not an academic discussion. This is what's happened at this time. This is a case in point, what's happening at this time. I'm sure this is, one for the books, so to speak, as far as the scenario is concerned. We can debate what the academics of it is, but the point is, isn't it true that Mr. Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister, it was his power, his political power that he chose to exhibit in asking for dissolution of assemblies in KP and in Punjab.
That is exactly what I am saying. That is exactly what I am reiterating. I am reiterating your point of view that no political leader, no political party should interrupt the political process of this country. They should allow political process to take its course so that the things should remain normal. The economy should adopt its way. The constitution should adopt its way. All the institutions which are working in this country, they should not be put into test. I think that remains the duty of the national leaders to bring certainty in the political process of the country. That I am reiterating your point that Imran Khan and the other political forces of this country should sit together and pave a way for the betterment of this country. And primarily, I agree with you, Imran Khan has not played responsibly, which he should have, which we should have played because I think the uncertainty which was created because when he was ousted from the government, he could not hold his horses, or and he went for the street agitation, which did not brought good results for Pakistan, and currently Pakistan is in a debacle, which is very concerning for everyone in this country. I think that politicians should sit down and pave a way for a clear path to be adopted by the parliament or by the country.
Right. Javed Sahab, you know, when we talk about institutions and we talk about the courts, this is not, I mean, the decision of dissolving the assembly. What Abid Sahab is saying, he's saying that, you know, perhaps the courts should have interfered in this. It's certainly not for, you know, it's not up to them to interfere in the political process. But one expects, like I was saying, you know, from someone who has been a former prime minister, who is now a former prime minister, who has been the prime minister of this country, also, you know, political leaders of who lead their own political parties, comprising of so many people, to you know, adhere to some kind of higher code of you know, some sanctity to the political process, to what's better. But do you think, I mean, what is behind this? Do you think it's a fear of you know, it's a reliance on some kind of wave of popularity, whether misguided or real? Because we've also seen what's happened in Sindh, in Karachi. So how do you look at it?
MAHRUKH, unfortunately, we are a very divided society right now. It is like between us and them. The civil society is divided, the media is divided, the writers are divided, the analysts are divided, and even the whole nation is divided right now. The problem is every camp has taken a very rigid and kind of a very unwavering stance as far as politics is concerned. Either we are right or we can't be right, we can't be wrong. That is the problem with us. We are looking at the whole picture through a lens which suits us. Now the question is, when we talk about Imran Khan, of course, he is a populist leader. We knew it all along, that a populist leader, this is what he does. And Imran Khan believes that now the popularity wave is just behind his political party. And in a particular context, he believes that he is the most popular leader. Of course, it would be his popularity would be tested when he goes to the polls, whether in Punjab Assembly or KP Assembly, and ultimately it will be kind of a reckoning for the two camps. Either he's a popular leader or he's not a popular leader. Now, coming to the government, the PDM is consisting of 14 political parties with varying degrees of different political ideologies. They are together only because of a common enemy, and that enemy is called Imran Khan. Now, I mean, I'm not saying anything unconstitutional is being done as far as government is concerned, or anything unconstitutional is being done as far as the opposition leader Imran Khan is concerned. Everything is being done under the ambit of the constitution. But if you look at holistically, the problem is they're not realizing that their constitutional steps are taking the country to the brink now. A country with $4.something billion in foreign exchange reserves, with the import capacity not more than 20 days, the friendly countries not really extending the kind of assistance to Pakistan which Pakistan requires right now or desires right now. IMF 9th review is not coming by. The conditionalities which IMF is suggesting is really extremely difficult for the current government to implement because of the issue of popularity, which is already going down and very drastically going down. I think the way forward, MAHRUKH, is not to blame one side of the protagonist or the other side.
Javed Sahab, right, I agree with you. You know, I don't think that it's not about blame, but the point is for there to be any political process, don't you think, let me come back to you, Abid Sahab, isn't it true that any political process, you know, the premise for any political process, democratic political process, is the ability of people, you know, the government and the opposition to have some kind of working relationship. Have that
Absolutely.
not, I mean, has that not been what we've learnt in the last couple of months? And the inability of that to happen has resulted in a system that has been, you know, at least it's been very difficult to get the system to function.
Extremely important point, MAHRUKH.
Unfortunately, this is what we have seen in the era of 90s when the working relations were not existing among the two big political parties. But with the passage of time, those parties have learned and finally they reached to the Charter of Democracy and they have decided that there should be respect for the mandate of the opponent parties. And we have seen some sort of, smooth functioning of the system. But after Imran Khan's rise in the politics, Imran Khan's intrusion in the politics, Javed Sahab has very rightly said that he is a true populist. He is not
no, but
caring
is
for
it
any
about populist? I mean, I don't know how you
the
define.
populist agendas are being carried out in the same fashion that we should, playing to the galleries, playing to the minds of the
but
people,
isn't it
not
about the
sitting
fact
with
that
the.
if I can't be part of this system, then the system itself should not function. Whereas the whole political democratic process rests on the foundation that the system is somehow supreme and that everything else is secondary. You and I are secondary. The government and the opposition are subject to that system. So the system has to be supreme. And that is a premise that is
Again,
not
this
being
is an
adopted.
academic thing that system should be supreme, but what is actually happening that
But is it
Imran Khan has not cared for the system to set. Unfortunately, his talking about the neutrality of the institutions of the state of the country is to the extent that if they are not supporting me, then there should be no role of them.
So
Similarly, if he is not in the power, if he is not getting the sort of easiness to come into power, then he does not care for the system to be in the fashion.
If we go by that same analogy, let me take Barrister Humayun also on board. Ji, Basab, then if we go by that same analogy, then if the former Prime Minister does not get the kind of results that he's hoping for, even in Punjab itself, then he will again will it result in derailing the system further? How will it function then?
Well, I think he has tried his best to derail the system, and the protests or the criticism he has done against the government, and even he has not cared about the economy of Pakistan or the political situation of Pakistan. I think this is very disturbing for many in this country, and from my reading of the international community, I think they are also very much confused about the current political situation of Pakistan. I think our political leaders should show some maturity and at least give some respite to Pakistan so that the economy could be stabilized and the country can be put on a track which will lead us to a stable and economically strong Pakistan.
Javed Sahab, doesn't it take you back in a sense to that earlier, to one of the audios that were earlier, leaked, in which there was a discussion on economy, and there seemed to be, that it seemed to indicate that there seemed to be one goal that was being spoken about, that was being, worked towards, and that goal was power only. And whether economy, whether IMF, whether derailing the system, all of those things have now become secondary to that goal as a whole. But then again, how do we get out of this? And will it end at all on elections if the results are not what one party is hoping for?
MAHRUKH, if we look at what is going to happen in the coming days, there are about 80 odd seats of the National Assembly which have been vacated while accepting the resignations of the PTI parliamentarians. And in the coming days, there could be more members of the National Assembly from Pakistan, Tehreek-e-Insaf, whose resignations would be accepted by the Speaker. And the elections being held in Punjab and KP. Look at how it is unfolding. The largest province of Pakistan, the Punjab, which is more than 50% of Pakistan's population, and KP, they comprise about 75% of Pakistan's population. Elections are going to be held there. And then there are about 80 or more than 80 seats of the National Assembly being vacated, elections or by-elections going to be held on
But
those
are
seats.
they? But I mean, will the election commission,
my
is it
point-
in a position to hold by-elections? Again, will it hold the by-elections after, will it
that's
hold
my
general
point.
elections after the term
Exactly,
ends in
that's my
August?
point. Of course. I mean, constitutionally, they will have to. There's no running away from the elections. When assemblies are dissolved, then elections have to be held within 90 days, as per the Constitution of Pakistan. When resignations are accepted, then by-elections will have to be held accordingly. So, Election Commission of Pakistan really can't run away. Realistically speaking, can we afford that? We really can't afford that because it's going to cost Pakistan multi-billion rupees as far as the electoral exercise is concerned. Then maybe 7 or 8 months down the road, we will be holding the general elections. Then why not? That was the point I was trying to make, MAHRUKH, at the outset, that why can't they sit together, decide that let us talk about an acceptable date as far as elections are concerned. They may not be held in October, they may not be held in June, July, as desired by Imran Khan, but they could be held somewhere in between. And then country could go for the general elections, avoiding the by-elections, avoiding the elections in 2 provinces, and then creating a kind of a situation which is not going to suit Pakistan Tehreek Insaf or Pakistan Muslim League as well.
Let me go to Dr. Abid. Abid Sahab, it's also, I mean, what Javed Sahab is saying is very relevant, and also the fact that within the National Assembly, when we talk about by-elections, people, his own people also, are they going to contest now and then contest again when the general elections happen? And is it not exhaustive for people to go to, I mean,
contest election to put resignations again.
And then they're saying that also, they're saying that those by-elections also, there is a statement from the PTI itself saying that Imran Khan Sahab will contest on
35 seats.
35 seats. And if that happens, then there'll be by-elections on, I mean, isn't this a mockery of the
Just
whole
mockery
electoral
of the whole
process?
electoral system, I do agree with you.
At the cost of people, at the cost of the
those
funds.
poor people who are 1/3 are under the, the national calamity.
And why should people go and vote? I mean, is it not important for these leaders?
In 2013 elections, Imran Khan lost badly in the elections, particularly in Punjab. He remained most of the time on streets. He did not behave as a mature politician. As Javed Sahab said, that things are being done under the Constitution, but the political implications are there. He has literally, jammed the process of the political process of the country. When in 2018 elections, he won the elections, quote unquote, the opposition did not accept that. And many impartial analysts are also of the view that it was more of a selections, not the elections, when Imran Khan was installed in Pakistan. But as he was the Prime Minister of Pakistan, he has not shown that maturity to talk with the opposition, because we have seen, we should remember that in the very first meeting, the present Prime Minister of Pakistan and the then opposition leader Shehbaz Sharif, he offered unconditional support to sit together and for a charter of economy for the country. But Imran Khan refused that, and he has made fun of all those statements of the opposition leaders of that time. Then we have seen when Imran Khan was ousted from the power, in a pure constitutional manner, that the support of the members of the National Assembly put back their support. The allies parties were not there with him, and he was ousted from the power. He has not accepted. He has changed his stance for so many times. Initially, he was talking about the interference of United States of America. A cipher was, raised by him. Then he said that it was Bajwa and he was playing the double game with me. It was the establishment. He used so many derogatory remarks about the head of the institutions, Dirty Harry and Mir Qasim and Mir Jafar.
Always, don't you think that institutions have been thrown under the bus by the same opposition?
Of course.
And across the board, I mean, whether we talk about judiciary, whether we talk about the election commission.
When judiciary was giving decisions in his favor, that was the good judiciary, and the judiciary when was doing quote unquote and merit against him, that was bad judiciary. And who will guarantee that if the elections took place in this country and Imran Khan could not secure the majority, he would not be in the street and using the same fascist fashion in the Pakistan? Could we afford that for a longer period of time? Should we give this country to Imran Khan to play for his political motives? I think there should be some full stop, there should be some ending. And secondly, the cases which Imran Khan has launched against the opposition, and so many leading leaders of the opposition parties, they were put behind the bar. Some charges, so heinous charges against them, right? Rana Sanaullah, for instance, the punishment could be the capital punishment against him. If the life, sort of the death punishment could be happen to him if that case remained. But they were freed by the judiciary. Now Imran Khan, the foreign funding case, under the Constitution of Pakistan, that was prohibited, and that is proved against him. But the government could not take any initiative due to his populist agenda. The pressure he is used by using the populist agenda, taking the people in the street. Similarly, there are so many other cases against Imran Khan.
And again,
these are apparently those cases are seen by
let
the
me take
on merit.
Humayun on board, and then Basis Sahab, is it so what happens? I mean, do you agree with Abid Sahab that it is using his what he believes his popular support to undermine the system?
I think there is no doubt about that. He is using his popularity to derail the whole political system of Pakistan. I think leaders should show some maturity and show some patriotism by not derailing the system. We should not let's not talk about the merit or demerit when he was ousted from the government. But once he was ousted from the government, he should have shown some maturity, and he should not take his own person above I would say, the people of Pakistan or the constitution of Pakistan or the whole system of Pakistan. I think Imran Khan has achieved much from this country, and now it is time for him to pay back. And the paying back is that he should show some maturity and let this country be out of this crisis and the economy to rise again for the people of Pakistan.
Well, that clearly doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon if we look at the overall scenario.
But that should be one that there is no other course to come out of this crisis. Imran Khan either will be a chapter in the history of politics of Pakistan, or he will have to mend his ways. There is no other option for him. I think the people will soon understand, and he will have to understand the realities of Pakistan.
Abid Sahab, okay, fair enough. Before I go to Abid Sahab, Javed Sahab, do you think that if we saw what's happened in Karachi, we've also seen the PTI say that they don't accept the results of the elections in Sindh, the local bodies elections. Of course, that's a very small example of what can happen, if in Punjab also he does not get the kind of results that he expects when he's dissolved the assembly, and he wants to go forth with the elections. In that kind of a scenario, what do you think will happen?
MAHRUKH, it is a huge paradox for both the political camps. You're very right that when we look at the outcome of the Karachi elections, it is definitely a wake-up call for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf as well. I think a bulk of their supporters stayed back at home. They didn't come out to cast their votes, and that is why there was a very dismal kind of a voters turnout. Now there's the same paradox for the ruling Pakistan Democratic Movement. They do not know what is going to happen when they go to the polls in Punjab, because there's a great amount of uncertainty, and at the face, if we take it at the face value, then Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is the most popular party in Punjab. But
Javed Sahab, isn't it true that PTI has always been good at trying to create a narrative on social media, but then it has its weaknesses in trying to get their voter out, and for example rural areas of Punjab, so to speak. I mean, overall for them to get their voter out, to if I'm not wrong in saying so, cash in on that kind of popularity with the vote has proven difficult. We saw what happened in the protests, in the call for protests also, whatever the PTI's narrative may be. So those are things that are that can prove problematic for them.
Yes, I agree. I think, MAHRUKH, when we look at the outcome of the by-election, the recent by-elections which were held in Punjab, of course, the tide seems to be going with Imran Khan. But when we go for the elections of the assembly, the entire province is going to vote for that, then I think that is the most unpredictable scenario. Look at the paradox of the Pakistan Democratic Movement. Right now, they believe that because of the state of the economy and the political instability and the rising prices of everyday use, high inflation, about 26%, and the difficulties the common man is facing, they strongly believe that going to elections right now, it would not be the right choice. But the paradox is, if they go on ruling Pakistan for another 8 months, and if they even extend their tenure beyond October 2023, and maybe that is not possible under the constitution, maybe under the garb of one emergency or the other, whether it's going to be the economic emergency or the general emergency, they extend their tenure beyond October. What are the guarantees that they will regain the popularity? Maybe the economic conditions could improve and they could sort of rebound as far as their popularity is concerned. But once again, it is $1 million question. If it doesn't happen, if they go beyond October and the problems consist as far as economy is concerned, they will remain unpopular. And once
But
again,
they have not, but there is, I mean, there's no statement at this time, there's no move at all of this time by the government or the PDM saying that they want to go beyond the constitutional term. But what they're saying is that they want the constitutional term.
There are definitely statements. Hassan Iqbal has stated that there's a possibility there could be an emergency, economic emergency, and the tenure of the assembly could be extended. And even the interior minister has stated that. I'm not saying that this is what they're going to do, but there have been certain vibes coming from the PDM. And I think Pakistan People's Party would not be willing to go to elections because they know that what are they going to achieve when they go to elections? They're going to regain power once again in the province of Sindh. They doesn't have any kind of a footprints as far as.
But Amitabh, then again, we're getting into that kind of discussion, what each political party may want to gain. But the point is, the law is the law. And, you know, people who are in the parliament, let me come back to you, Amitabh, the point is they're here for 5 years. And that 5-year term will end in August. And that's when the next general election, the call for general elections should happen following the requisite constitutional period for the caretaker setup. And that's when the elections should happen. That's, you know, whether conspiracy theories or statements here and there, all of that, you know, until that time comes, the point is that time hasn't yet come. And people who come into the parliament should come and do come for those 5 years. I'm sure, isn't it true that there was disagreement, reports of disagreement within the PTI also, of people who are now saying those resignations should not have been accepted, who were earlier saying they should be accepted, that they were against getting out of the National Assembly in the first place?
Yes, I do agree. The classically Imran Khan and his party is a true example of modern populist style of government. Some of the fascist tendencies are also found there. In Punjab, if the mandate of the people of Punjab were given to them, why they dissolved that assembly? Again, my question is there. On the other hand, they put resignations, they tendered their resignation in the National Assembly, but after that they were expecting that those resignations should have not been accepted by the speaker.
Right.
Then now when the speaker has accepted those, sort of resignations, again they are using that as a political mantra, as a political populist style. But you very rightly said that the constitutional term of the government and of the parliament is, being ended by July or September or October this year. Until that, how can we? The people might be talking about that there should be extension, there would be emergency, there would be some financial emergency. And I mean, some people, God forbid, they're talking about imposition of martial law, national government, blah, blah, blah.
There's no
all these are conspiracy.
Legal process. Yes. Once I'll come back to you.
When the constitutional term would be ended, then nobody would, favor this emergency and all that. But before that, these are just gossips.
No, but the point, exactly, the point is, Barrister Saab, isn't it true that there's nothing in law to permit these kind of rumors that do happen from time to time? There is of course talk of a technocratic setup, there is talk of extension of term, there's talk of emergency. All of those things are out. I mean, there's no legal way of doing them. Am I right?
Yes, you are right. In constitutional terms, I don't think Constitution has space for such kind of governments. Constitution is very much clear on this matter. The Constitution does talk about emergency, but I think that has been defined by the Supreme Court in many cases that in which situations the emergency could be imposed, and those are very limited grounds. I don't think so that anything likely is going to happen. I think PDM is also very clear on this, and the PTI is also very clear on this. I think they all want the elections, but the thing is that PDM wants it to happen in when the National Assembly will have its constitutional term completed, and PTI wants it now. It is all about the political tactics because PTI think that they can get benefit if the elections held now, and the PDM thinks that it is better if they could delay the elections because that will give them some respite, may give them some respite in the future. So I think there is. I don't think there is any possibility of having such
there
kind of
being at
governments
this time,
which,
and any kind of extension that. Javed sir, do you think that? Let's talk about the political process. If it looks like we are into that caretaker phase of the Punjab Assembly. Isn't it true that whatever happens in Punjab has a certain kind of influence on what happens in the National Assembly also? Traditionally, it's been like that. If the elections go forward, and it certainly seems like they will at this time in Punjab, do you think that there will still be this kind of rumor mongering, or this kind of perhaps talk about there being any kind of extension in the National Assembly? Because the elections in KP and Punjab are now seem to be, it seems to be writing on the wall there.
Yes, MAHRUKH, I think Punjab is the kingmaker. If Punjab goes whichever direction Punjab wants to go, and if there's a clear mandate for any single political entity, whether the ruling Pakistan Democratic Movement or Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, this is going to have a massive impact on the outcome of the general elections. Because whichever way Punjab goes, as far as the Provincial Assembly is concerned, that would be indicative which way the National Assembly elections are going to go. So I think extremely important for PDM and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf to have a very clear look at the political landscape in Punjab. If the outcome goes in favor, if there's a split results as far as provincial elections are concerned, I think PDM would be more than happy. And if the elections results go in the way of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, then there's a huge dilemma as far as PDM is concerned.
Ji, Abid Sahab, your comments. Unfortunately, we're running out of time overall.
Well, we should talk about the solutions. We have been talking that this is the solution, but I remember that the PDM government has constituted a very high-profile committee for the negotiations, because politics, and particularly the democratic politics, is all about dialogues, all about giving spaces to the opposition. And the PDM government, that was appreciable initiative by them, that they have formed a committee comprising of so many renowned parliamentarians to hold negotiation with opposition Imran Khan, but Imran Khan very outrightly rejected that offer, and he did not come on the the table of negotiation. That is also a history of of the recent past. But again, I would say that this is the right of the constitutional government, when the burden of the economic disaster that was sowed by Imran Khan's failures in Pakistan, that was harvested by the present government. They have taken the burden on their shoulder, and the decisions, the immature decision. Now it is their right that they should continue till the term completed, and they should take initiative. They should be given the grounds to play for their political maneuvers. I think they're justified, right?
Right. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Abid Abbasi. Thank you for joining us. Barrister Humayun Sarfaraz Chattha, thank you for being with us. Javed Jadoon Saab, thank you for joining us today. Overall, of course, any political democratic process rests on there being some kind of a working relationship between government and the opposition, and that has unfortunately not been achieved till date. Let's hope that the government and the opposition can have that kind of relationship, because it is integral to any kind of agreement. Of course, we are seeing that as far as the caretaker setup in Punjab is concerned, and by all accounts likely to happen in KP, there is no such agreement till present. Let's see what happens, what the Election Commission decides as far as for this CM slot, of course. But moving on, even other decisions will have to be taken in some kind of with some kind of dialogue that still seems to be missing. Let's hope that perhaps there can be some move towards that. Thank you so much for joining us today.